Hey everybody, Jonathan Clark here at Last Chance Archery, and I've got a brand new product to show you. And this is an instructional or a how to do it video for the Precision Bow Holder. You might ask, what's the Precision Bow Holder? It is a sophisticated, new, upgraded bow holder for your Gen 1 draw board, so the original LCA draw board. As you know, if you've got one, it came with a bow holder that was just a simple rubber-coated rod, which allowed the bow to move, and it allowed the bow to lean, and it allowed the bow to do all sorts of things. So this new bow holder eliminates so many of those things that people have told us over the years have been irritating or aggravating, and we've upgraded that with this new Precision Bow Holder. Now, if you want to upgrade your draw board as well, check out the LCA Draw Board 2.0, and it'll already come with this brand new Precision Bow Holder. But for now, I'm going to show you how to install this bow holder, how to use it, what some of the features are, and why you need it. So stick with me, and I'll show you how to use the Precision Bow Holder. So I've got the original LCA draw board here, and in a minute we will hop over here to the bow press so that I can show you exactly how to install this new bow holder and what some of the features are that make it so great. But for now, I'm going to show you how it'll come out of your box. It'll be pre-assembled. Everything will be ready to install, but you should have in your pack an extra piece. It is a felt space filler, and that extra piece of material is just in case the bow press tubing, where this angle iron slides in case that bow press tubing, in case you need a little bit extra filler inside to make this bracket tight. So you can actually cut this into a couple of pieces. You can use the full piece. Some guys will use half a piece on one side or the other of your bracket, and I'll show you more about that once we get over to the bow press. But you'll have the space filler. You'll have a bolt pack with 2 lag bolts and 2 washers, so that if you want to mount this to the edge of your table or your bench, as I know some people already have their LCA draw board mounted to the edge of their table or bench. So with these 2 lag bolts and 2 washers, you can mount this. I just always tell everybody, drill a pilot hole before you start installing these lag bolts so that you don't crack the wood, your tabletop, whatever it is you're screwing into. If you do a pilot hole, you're not going to have any issues. So 2 lag bolts, 2 washers, your felt space filler. You're going to have the assembled bow holder that's ready to go, and you will have it in standard or ultimate. So you may ask, what's the difference? It all hinges the bracket size. Standard fits our bow presses that only work on compound bows, and then ultimate fits all of our other bow presses which work on compounds and crossbows both. So in short, the easiest identifier or the easiest way to tell is if your bow press has ultimate, and it has to be specific, ultimate in the name, you would get the ultimate draw board or the ultimate precision bow holder in this case. If you have any other bow press that we make, you would get the standard. So this one I have here is a standard because I'm putting it in just a standard power press over here on our counter behind me, and that one does not do crossbows, and it's not an ultimate. So therefore, I'll use the standard bracket. Finally, you will have the spacer that you're going to install on your Gen 1 LCA draw board. And you may ask, what's that for? So of course, with the new bow holder, one of the features is having everything at the same distance apart from your table. And there is a mark on this bow holder bracket on this rod that is adjustable in and out, and that mark will put the center point of this grip holder dead center with the string as it's pulling the bow back. Now, it is not a holy grail thing that you have to do this and it has to be perfectly straight. It's just one of those things, you want to get it as close as you can. You know, over the years, at least I have, when I would draw my bow back, if I needed more room on the bow holder side, I would just slide this bracket out to get the winch to where it's at least pulling somewhat straight. So when you do that, all you'll do is take this spacer, you're going to slide it on your Gen 1 LCA drawboard bracket, and it'll have a warning sticker. It'll have a QR code with instructions so that you can scan that, and you obviously, most of you will have found this video by scanning this link. So follow all these warnings, scan the QR code, and then all you'll do is slide this on your Gen 1 LCA drawboard. Now it's ready to be put in, and the distance when this is in your bow press, your rope is going to be dead center of the bow holder bracket where your grip actually sits. So that's some of the features, and that's some of the parts. You're going to need each of these pieces. If you open your box and all of those pieces are not there, please contact us immediately so that we can get you the correct parts, and so that there's no issues down the road. If you wait 6 months to call us, there may be some issues getting those parts. So just check out your package, make sure you have your assembled bow holder, 2 lag bolts and 2 washers, and your space filler felt material. And you may notice we swapped to a felt material instead of a thick Velcro type material from some of our past drawboard models. This felt material is going to be a lot stronger, a little bit thicker, so it's going to fill that space more solid, so that as you use the new precision bow holder or the LCA drawboard 2.0, it's not going to have as much movement. But we still include that extra piece because different bow presses from the last 20 years, just tolerances and things of that nature, you may have to use the space filler to fill the space around your bracket inside the metal tubing. So your assembled bracket, your space filler, your lag bolts and washers, and then now we're going to hop over to the bow press so that I can show you how to put all this together. You can go ahead and make sure your spacer is on your Gen 1 LCA drawboard, and it can go in any direction. I normally put mine to where the stickers are up just so it looks cool, but it doesn't make it work any better. So you can put this spacer any way you like as long as it's on that bracket. And again, you don't even have to do that. It just puts the rope of your Gen 1 drawboard dead center in line with the bracket on this outside. But you may get a bow that an arrow rest is massive on this inside edge, so that you have to bring this out further. Or you may, there may be an item on the bow that sticks off. So there may be some adjustments you just have to do, and sometimes you may have to pull slightly crooked, but it's still going to give you a good reading. It's just one of those things where we always try to get everything square if it is possible with the setup you've got. So let's hop over to the bow press and we'll get this put in, and we'll show you some examples. Okay everybody, I've got my precision bow holder, my LCA drawboard, the Gen 1. The spacers installed on the Gen 1 drawboard. My bow holder came out of the box ready to go. I've got my bow press here, and again, I've got the standard because my bow press here does not work on crossbows. It is not an ultimate. The ultimate presses, the diameter of this tubing is much smaller than a standard bracket can fit. So you need to be sure you look at the descriptions of the precision bow holder standard and ultimate before you purchase. That way you get the right one. So my drawboard here, Gen 1, my spacer is already installed and ready to go. So you simply just slide this in, and this one was already fitted to this bow press, so I'm not gonna add any space filler or anything to this bracket. It was ready, so I add that and it is ready to go. So in short, this space just pulls this standard drawboard out, this spacer does, so that it's in line with your new bow holder. So I'm going to take this bow holder that came out of the box just like this, ready to go, and I'm going to slide it in. And what you'll want to do is test fit the bracket to see if you need to add any space filler. And I've got my spare piece of filler here. I've got some scissors just in case I want to cut a piece. I'll probably go ahead actually and cut it in half because there's no reason to use a full piece. Even if I need some space, I'll just use a half of a piece. So I'm going to go ahead and check this, and the bracket is moving just a little bit. So with the bracket moving, I'm going to go ahead and add a piece here to the bottom. So I'll just take a piece of this felt space filler, peel off the backing. It has a high strength adhesive, and I will kind of put it right in the center, and you want to push it down really good so that when you put it in, it doesn't just try to peel this off. So I'll do that. I will try this again, and I will slide it, and that is a perfect fit. So it just took one little half piece on the bottom, but yours, you just kind of have to customize it. You may need it on the back or on the bottom. Any direction you can put that extra piece to fill it to where it's solid, you're golden. That's all there is to it. So this bracket is good to go. So I don't need this other half of space filler, but I would keep it just in case you ever need it. Because who knows, 2 years down the road, after you've pulled hundreds of bows with this precision bow holder, it may finally start to kind of squish it in, and it may need a replacement piece of space filler. So I'm going to move all this off to the side. I've got my fingers off the bow press just so that you can see everything here. But the precision bow holder, it is that simple. You just slide it in. That's it. You take this bracket, which is a piece of angle iron, and you slide it in, and then you are good to go. You are good to use the brand new precision bow holder. You've got your drawboard in, your spacer, and your bow holder. So I'm going to readjust the camera a little bit, and then I'm going to show you how to install a bow, how to set this up correctly so that you can draw the bow back safely, and I'm going to show you some of the features of this bow holder that make it so great. So stay with us. All right, so I've got a Matthews bow here. I've got the precision bow holder and the Gen 1 LCA drawboard, and it's ready to go. Now, of course, with any bow, depending upon what is on this side of the bow, you may need more space inside this bracket than it offers. So there's two things you can do. One, you can move this bracket further out to give yourself more space, which is always a possibility. But you got to remember that when you do that, it's going to kind of off-center it from your rope on the other end, which is not a huge deal. It just may make the bow pull kind of crooked inside the bow holder. That should not alter your readings, but then again, it could cause undue torque or something as the string comes off, or all of that jazz. But you've got the bow holder, everything's installed. But the second thing that you can do if you don't have enough room in here on this side, whether it's the arrow rest or mounts for your quiver, or whatever the case may be, you can always move this to the opposite end, just like you would do normally with your drawboard. You can pop these 3 bolts loose on the Gen 1 drawboard, rotate the bracket 90 degrees, and then it'll go in on this side. The same thing for this. You will pull the precision bow holder out. You'll move this bracket from here. There's 2 bolts, and I'll do close-ups of this, but there's 2 bolts. You'll take them completely out. You'll rotate the bracket 90 degrees, and you'll put the bolts back in on this underside, which will allow you to put the bow holder on this end of the bow press. So then, depending upon, so if you're using a right-handed bow, when you put the right-handed bow on this end, all of the equipment on the outside of the bow will be facing out. So there's no clearance issues. But you've just got to decide if you want to work on right-handed bows the most or left-handed. I'm a left-hander, but there's not that many of us. So you might want to move that to this end so that the outside of right-handed bows are always just that, on the outside. But for now, I'm going to keep it exactly like it is. I'm going to slide that back in. I've got my drawboard, my bow holder. You're going to take the bow and you're going to put it into the bow holder. And before you tighten this rubber strap that's got different adjustments so that you can lock the bow in so it doesn't fall to the ground, this is a huge upgrade from the original bow holder. That one was just a rod with rubber on it. 2, it just had a band that went around the bow that over time, as it stretched, it broke, and then it just caused issues. So we replaced all of that. We've got a custom bow gripper that mimics the contact points of your hand, and we did a lot of testing with that over about a 1-year period where we tested it with every bow, every grip that we could get our hands on, just trying to find the most universal piece that would, that would work with all these different grip and hand types out there, or all the different grip types that all these bow companies are coming out with. So anyways, the bow grip sits in the bow holder, and then you're going to, before you lock this down, so before you take this strap, it's got 2 side plates, and the side plates have a spring in the middle to push them outward. But all these side plates are for is just to, so in essence, when you're holding your bow and you've got the bow grip in your hand, you've got the palm of your hand and the opposite side kind of compressing on each side of the grip. That's just the natural way your hand holds the bow. These side plates mimic that. So you don't want to tighten these side plates so much that they, in essence, lock the bow so tight you can't do anything with it. But you will tighten these side plates until they just compress against the side of the grip, just like your hand does when the bow grip sits in your hand. So I'm going to go ahead and tighten these up, and they were quite loose to begin with. So I'm kind of getting there now, and that's all it is. So it lets it still free float. But in short, if you have a big side stabilizer on a tournament bow, the bow's not just going to fall over like it used to do. This is going to allow it, in essence, the bow gripper to do and mimic, it's going to allow it to mimic your hand pressures and motion. So again, don't tighten it down so much that it really grips. Just tighten it until the 2 side plates touch. So that's what I've done. And then you're going to tighten this strap around. There are some bows you can get it tighter than others. You could pull it and get it super tight if you wanted to. I'm on the side of kind of keeping things loose so they can kind of free float just a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and move that back just 1 notch. Maybe I'll go to the tighter one. But you can see it can still move. Everything is still good. So I'm going to pull the drawboard cord out, and I'm going to hook it on. I'm going to put my safety loop on, which is just there in case you have a D-loop break. And then I'm going to draw the bow back using the Gen 1 LCA drawboard. And as you can see, the bow sits, the bow gripper holds that bow exactly as if your hand is the one holding it, and it's going to give you a crisp and accurate reading, not only of cam lean, but of timing and every other aspect of the bow that you would look at full draw. You can use your bow scale. You can use anything you would normally use with the drawboard, but you've got a custom bow holder. You've got elevation adjustments. You can move it in and out. It's holding the bow with the custom gripper. It's got the big rubber strap. And all of these components, the bow gripper is going to enhance all of those readings and all of those views of your timing, of your cam lean, all of those things that I just mentioned. It's going to enhance all of that and make it easier to see those small missteps in your setup, like your timing and whatnot. The elevation adjustment bar is solid steel. The mounting plate is solid steel. You've got a stainless steel rod. Everything is reinforced. It's very strong. But again, the bow gripper, your side plates, your elevation adjustment, your stainless steel rod can move in and out. There are some lines that are just reference points. You can move it up and down as you see fit. And some guys like their bow grip to be 2 3/4 or 3 inches or 3 1/4 lower than their knocking point for reading purposes. Even though that doesn't technically make a difference, because as you move the tail end down, this end's gonna kind of rotate up and down, and that's just how that works. But that's a totally different video. Maybe I'll get George Riles to do a thing a week video on that subject here soon. So I'll show you how to move this up and down and in and out in some close-ups. And outside of that, you are ready to use your precision bow holder. So there's one more thing I want to show you, and I'm going to do some close-ups while I talk so that you can see exactly how it's done. But of course, to move the bow holder to the opposite end of the bow press to make it fit, this bracket's got to be moved 90 degrees. So I'm going to take this apart and I'm going to show you exactly how that's done step by step, because you do have to kind of take this apart to be able to move everything so that it can work on the opposite end. This is not something I would feel you would do every day. You would need to choose one end or the other where you want your bow holder. One end is kind of tailoring towards right-handed bows, one end is kind of tailoring towards left-handed bows, and you'll just have to choose which one of those you want to work on the most. And you can work on left or right, but for instance, on one end, if it's set up tailored for a right-handed bow, that means the modules on that bow are going to be towards you, which means you can visually see those a lot easier and check timing. On the left-handed bow, those modules are going to be on the opposite side, so you're having to kind of look through the strings and cables, which is, you know, sometimes kind of a pain in the butt. So again, you just need to choose which end of the bow press you want your bracket on, and you can find out how to rotate the bracket on the drawboard through the LCA drawboard video. You just loosen 3 bolts, rotate the bracket 90 degrees, put it back together, and you can put it on the opposite side. So I'm going to go ahead and take this bow holder, put it on the opposite end, install it, and then start moving the pieces around so that you can see exactly how it works. Alright, so I've got the drawboard. On the opposite end, it normally goes in this direction. That's obviously not going to work because the bow needs to sit in this way. So you rotate the bracket 90 degrees, and it's a little tighter on this end, which means, as you know, the tolerances of the metal tubing to the angle iron sometimes is different. So that just goes to show that sometimes you need different space filler depending upon which end of the press you're on. So on this end, here's what we have. So we've got to kind of rearrange all these parts so that everything fits. You're going to loosen your thumb screw here until it lets loose from this side plate. You're going to pull this completely out. And I'm going to sit it up here next to my mag strip, and this is where I'm going to put all my screws. We have magnetic trays as well, but my mag strip, it's holding my Allen wrenches and my knife blades, my snips. And then what I'm going to do is go ahead and loosen this screw here, which is the bow gripper. So we've got a side plate and a bow gripper off. Screw there, bow gripper here. Try to keep exactly that from happening, all these parts from falling. Take the side plate off, and then we're going to loosen the screw that is holding the stainless steel rod. Loosen that screw, pull the stainless steel rod out. Now we're going to loosen the 2 screws on the front of the bow holder. And if you mount it and just, you know, have it in the mounted position, it makes it a little bit easier so that you're not having to hold all these pieces. But you're going to loosen this elevation bar. Once loose, pop it off. So I've got the elevation bar here, and it's ready to be put on this bracket in this direction. So I'm just going to hand tighten this to begin with. I'm going to get my second bolt off my mag strip. I'm going to put this bolt in as well. And this has been designed in a way that even if you have your limb lock kit bracket on, this still clears completely. So as we go to tighten this down, we are going to adjust it. I'm going to adjust it a little bit higher than that. Loosen these up. Adjust it up or down depending upon where you want it. And then you're going to put your steel bar back out. And one feature of this, which you can really see now, is there's a line on this bar right here. That line will align here on the outside of your elevation bar. What is that line, you ask? This line makes sure that your bow gripper is dead in line with your string of the Gen 1 or the strap of the Gen 2 drawboard. This is your alignment point when you're moving it in or out, that line right there. Now you can go further out or further in. that is okay, but just know that when you're using the spacer on the opposite end, this is your alignment point. So I'm going to go ahead and put this back in. I'm going to align it with my alignment line, lock it down, and then you want to take the side plate that has the threads. So you can look, there are two side plates. One has threads, one does not. So you're going to go ahead and take this thumb screw and this spring off. But you're going to take the side plate with threads and put it on first. And you're going to put it in this direction because the bow is going to sit here. Then you're going to take your bow gripper, again, putting it this direction. And then you'll take the other side plate. Except I'm going to go ahead and put the thumb screw in like this, and I'm going to slide the spring on. So you've got a side plate, so this is the orientation, and push it back in. Once you get the hang of doing this, you could probably do it in 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes, when you're not doing it in the way that I'm doing it now, just trying to show it on camera. But it's still something you're probably not going to want to do every day just because of it's kind of tedious. But then you're going to put the screw back in your bow holder in the back side here. Tighten it down. And voila, everything is good to go. You've got your elevation bar on the opposite side. Your bow holder is on the opposite side of the bow press. You can put the bow in right here in the bow holder just like you would on the opposite end. So it's that simple. You just have to rotate the bracket 90 degrees and then rearrange the parts so that they fit just like this. So check this out. If you need to move the precision bow holder to this end to where you put your bow in, and then all of the extra stuff on the bow will be facing outward, this is how you do it. Last but not least, now that I know all of this is in the correct location, I did not want to put this on before just because you have to kind of push this rubber over your rod. I wanted to be sure everything was in place, everything was good. I'm going to take my Allen wrench, loosen this, pull your windage adjustment bar out, your stainless steel rod, and you're just going to, in essence, wedge. I'm going to put it right here so you can see. You're just going to wedge this end hole in the rubber over the bar, and I'm going to push it. It is a little snug, which it's supposed to be. The fit is supposed to be pretty snug on there. And of course, you face it forward, you orient it forward. I'm going to go ahead and push this inward as far as I can get it. I'm going to put the the windage bar back, put it right in line with my alignment mark, lock it down. And now I have this fully assembled back on the opposite end of the bow press, the bracket rotated, all of this reoriented so that the bow can sit here with your drawboard coming this way. So it's just personal preference. You just can determine what works better for you and the bows that you're doing. But this is how you swap the bracket to the opposite end, and everything is set and ready to go. All right, everybody, that's it. Thank you so much for joining us in this how to do it video with the brand new precision bow holder. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, reach out to us. You can do that by calling us, emailing us, sending us a website contact form, send us a text message to our main phone number, or reach out to us through social media, through our website, through YouTube, anywhere and everywhere. Subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you're notified when new videos come to life. Again, thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to serving you and continuing to build awesome new tuning products so that you can better tune your equipment and have more success in the field. Stay safe and shoot straight. We'll see you next time.